Hey, everybody. Hey, there's all the videos. Hey, Josh. Hey, Brian. Hey, Robert.
Good morning. Not sure what video, but there we go. Trying to figure out which one.
Everyone's just trying not to become the thumbnail, I feel like. For the, Hello. Cool. So we tend to try and give it a couple minutes to let people join in. It is, remote life. People still are running between offices, even if it's not between rooms. If anyone has anything they want to chat about that isn't on the current schedule, and I will, Josh has put the current schedule in, but I think that is only visible if you were already in the call. So just in case, I'm going to post again. Maybe that's unnecessary. I don't know. But join us, add something into the list. We can organize the list later. So if you're not sure where to put it, throw it down somewhere. Happy to organize as we go.
Hey, hi everyone, Atul this side.
Hey, hey.
Hey, I just want to say I'm happy to be here. Hi, Abby.
Hello, welcome. Glad you could make it in. See
Thank
a
you.
few new faces, newish. So that is actually how we usually start. So we can kick off with that. So we don't do like we don't tend to do an around the house as everyone introduce themselves. But for anyone who would like to introduce themselves, whether that be because you're newer to the group or something has changed in what you're up to and you want to share something, quick 1-minute intros are encouraged and welcomed. So Ant, do you want to say hi a little bit more about yourself for a minute?
Yeah. Thanks, Abby. Yeah, it's my first time here. Well, I've been in tech for 23 years, from dev to DevOps, and right now I'm a consultant, and I also do evangelism for Perfect Scale, company that does Kubernetes optimization.
Thanks. Yeah. Welcome.
Nice meeting you all, and twice.
We hung out on 2 different webinar podcast somethings recently, and he's still come back to say hi to everyone. So don't worry, y'all. I don't chase everyone away.
Exactly. And I've dealt a lot with backstage and internal developer portals in the last couple of years, so that's also something I'm into.
Anyone else want to say a quick hello? Right. So we've got a number of fun things today. One of them, the next one, is a more in-depth hello. So Andre, I got to meet you in Detroit. So
Yes.
almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, something like that. And you've been doing some cool stuff at Ada. So for the context for everyone else, what we try and do is slightly more in-depth intros from community members that want to share the challenges they've been facing, the solutions they've been going with, to try and make sure we're sharing stories and figuring out what makes sense for the group to work on. And so Andre agreed to share his story. We're going to aim for less than 10 minutes, so kind of quarter past. If I start waving my arms, don't get surprised. And hopefully we'll have some time to chat as well. So cool, take it away then.
All right. Thank you very much, Abby. Yeah. I approached the group and wondered if anybody wanted to hear about our story of building our internal developer platform at Ada. And yeah, it looks like there is well, thanks for basically letting me talk here. So I'm gonna share a presentation and talk about things and show a quick demo, but please feel free to interrupt and or post questions in the chat. I'll be watching both. All right, let me get started. There we go. All right, so everybody can see the slideshow. Common, yes. All right, cool. So hi, I'm Andre Marcelo Tanner. I'm a staff DevOps engineer at Ada. We're a AI agent company in the customer service space. We've been around for about 7 years, and I'm telling you this to give you like a scope of like how much things we've accumulated over time. I've been here personally for 5 years. We're based in Toronto, Canada. We have employees all over the world, but mainly in North America. And we have about 250 people, but about 60 in product and development. And this is about like 6 or 7 teams plus. But things have changed over time. And so our platform has changed over time, right? We are not greenfield. This is not like I get to choose whatever I want and it's going to be perfect. Like there is a lot of 15 standards that have been developed here. You know, and we like to talk about this like it looks like this. You're the developer, the person in pink in the middle, and you have to have all this cognitive load just to like, you know, get your thing out into production. And this isn't even your business logic, right? So this isn't new, but like it's like this is like what we like to tell our team, and when we present things to engineering, how we pitch this. So that's why I'm sharing these slides, because this is sort of how we pitch it internally of what is the value. Oh, and by the way, I work on the infrastructure team. We're a cloud automation, developer automation team, basically, you know, standard ops, do everything, keep the lights on, improve developer tooling. And so the thing about that one service is like the team has like multiple services, like complexity multiplied, right? So I see a question there. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, if you don't mind, just a quick. I was curious to know, like, how big is Ada? Because understanding like, the platform team's size relative to the rest of the organization and your maturity and journey would be helpful.
The current team size that handles basically everything you would consider infrastructure at a company is 6 right now. That has changed over time. At one time, it was 5 different teams. Now we're back to 1 team. So things have been scaling up and down. And this is to support an engineering org of about 60 or so. And this is about 6 or 7 teams. But regardless of the team size, the number of services is like, I think upwards of 40. And we've gone from microservices to monolith, and we're going back to monolith now. But like, whatever you have in production, giving value to customers, you got to support that, no matter what the ideal state is, right? And so I'll continue a bit now. So teams have to manage many services. Some are new, some are old, some they just got handed over from some other team that changed, the org changed. And it's all load, right? And so our team, we were trying to do services and make improvements to our platform. And but when we say platform, we're like, whatever our documentation is, how developers get things done. But we want to like make it holistic, right? So how do we pitch this to our leadership? We used the maturity model that Abby started, and it was fantastic because it gave us a way to think about things where we took everything we do and go ahead. Someone's question? No? All right. So like, you don't have to read all this, but like all these boxes are like things we do at our company that developers need to do, or things that need to get done. And we're like, oh, is this a level 1, 2, 3, or 4? And it was really great to help us think about this and figure out like, what do we need to move forward? Like, and the way we got this, got buy-in internally was, if we create a developer platform or standardize on one, I won't say create because we've always had one, it's just been a bunch of tools and stuff, then we can move more boxes to the right. We can automate more things. Instead of doing this quarter, we're only doing box A. This quarter, we're doing tool B. Like, so if we have a platform that we standardize on, we can do more with less, which is a theme nowadays, right? So we launched what we call it Ada, Ada's developer platform. Internal marketing, you got to do it. And we basically took, say, everything we did before. Okay, now this is what we're doing. We didn't really create many new things, but we just renamed stuff. So there's the service registry, standard template. I'll get into this quickly. I want to get to the demo. The service, and we see these are like building blocks, because we have a lot of tools, but like, what are the building blocks? How can we fit this together? And the service registry is like where you would start, where you would like manage your service at the top level. You know, maybe something like Backstage. We chose to just make ours in GitHub. We looked at Backstage, etc., evaluate other solutions. And then there are the templates. We see there's cookie cutter templates. Backstage also has something like this. We had a bunch of templates from before also. So we had to get these in and standardize them. So we made that part of like a platform building block. And then we had the dynamic operator. It's all branding names. This is Cube Builder. We made an operator using Cube Builder and Operator SDK. And this simplified like the Kubernetes parts. So to give context, we're fully on Kubernetes. We've had some Lambdas and other things, but we decided like we're just on Kubernetes. You only make services in Kubernetes. And then we had pipelines. And these are like your CI pipelines. We use GitHub Actions. You might use Jenkins or GitLab. And that makes that's what we call our platform, that we're telling developers, this is our internal developer platform. And the way we sold it to them was like, we're the Apple Store. You come in and you get your platform and you take it out and go, it just works, right? Oh, there we go. You don't have to build it yourself. If you want to, you can. If you really want to build your own service and do the internals, but we prefer you just take it from us, right? And so we launched that last year. How's it? It's been like 8 months. We have really good feedback because we took the parts that were we didn't launch this on like, oh, hey, if you need to create a new service, you go here and you do this. We're like, your existing services, you want to improve them, here is a new way you can do it that's a lot simpler. And I hope looks like I have 5 minutes. So I want to show the demo here. So this is our service registry. We looked at things like Cradix, and we were talking to Abby, and we were like, looks similar to what we already do. But we already do some things, like we have our CI pipelines. We code them in YAML, unfortunately, but it's what we have. It's like what's standard across the company. Other developers, even not on the infrastructure team, they know how to create GitHub Actions. So we use the same. So basically, you come in here, you go add new file, you create a new file, and there's a format here. You can think of it like it's a YAML file. We have a definition, and you enter a bunch of stuff in here. You configure your service, like what templates you want to use, whether you want to use Terraform, because we use Atlantis that sets it up in your GitHub settings. So just basically, this is like, think of it like a CRD for your service outside of Kubernetes. And you open up a PR and we use GitHub Actions and a bunch of YAML programming to tell you what it's going to do. And so the user says, okay, and then you merge it and it goes off and creates your service. But the important thing here, and we had a lot of pushback from this from our leadership, and basically it's like, well, how often do you create a new service? And we were like, no, wait. It's how often do you need to update and manage your service? Because what we're creating here is like a golden path for like the new thing, but in everything that exists here from like 10 years ago, 7 years ago, and teams that no longer exist and existing services that are providing value, they have to be brought forward to this new standard. So this is the way you use it. This is what you use. So the value we're able to sell is like the thing that provides the most value to the company can be kept up to date through this tooling that we manage, and new services too. Like you can get it started and it's all great and running. But the most value is like updating everything that's existing to like have the same templates, standards, Kubernetes deployment. And you can see here, this is like the behind the scenes. This is just like it's YAML. We have some Terraform here that does other things. Like it depends on what we're implementing. There's a different way of programming it. We might use Terraform, we might use Bash, we might use some Go. We're just using MyQ behind the scenes. It's not magic. But you merge that PR and you get your repo created for you. Like you don't have to go in ClickOps, and you get a PR in your repo that has everything you need. And it tells you where it came from. And again, we're here back to it creates a PR with the changes. So if there's an update in the future to a service template or anything, you can just go grab those changes and it'll create a new PR here. And you can apply it and look at, and this is where we want teams to start looking at their changes, what's it doing, and if it makes sense to apply it or modify it, because sometimes teams drift from the templates, right? Like it's common. Everybody's not using the standard templates with 0 modifications. They change this for various reasons. And so when we give them the YAML, it's like, or the configuration, there are escape hatches. And that's important because not every, you're not going to align everything, every file across every repo to be perfect, right? There will be always differences. So that's why we like using the PR process to abstract that or let teams manage that. I think I kind of have a time here, but like,
yeah, and say thank you for sharing all that. I want to give space for some people to ask some questions before we get to move on to other things, because I feel like you just run through a whole bunch of the topics that we have as like evergreen topics in this group around like user interfaces and like schemas and lifecycle management and all of that. So there's been a few commentary in the chat, but are there any other questions as well that people want to ask Andre?
Yeah, I've got one. I wanted to ask you about the dynamic operator, maybe just a little more detail around what you did there, what you're providing. Just curiosity.
Yeah. So you can see my screen here. This is the CRD where we're calling the operator. It's basically our custom CRD in our company. And it's what we're trying to do here is just abstract away a lot of the things we'd put in the Helm chart that developers don't need to configure. And what we configure, we just launched this with just like, it only does one thing. We didn't say, okay, we're going to replace the entire Helm chart. We just said, okay, we're going to launch this new feature, which is like Ursa in EKS. Basically, IAM policies create your AWS credentials automatically. We said, okay, you just put this one object in your Helm chart in every repo, and you get automatically like connected to things. You get your IAM policy, everything automated. So it was a very complicated operator process. Like we had to do a lot of things, but we knew we can control that because our team knows how to manage the cluster. So yeah, it's like a platform orchestrator type of thing that's per cluster on the server side. So whatever you use an operator for, and we want to expose only a little bit of configuration. And we've used this then since to like, okay, we have like a database. Okay, when we want to give you database credentials, we add a new field here and you say, yes, I want those credentials, and then you automatically give it to your application. So we're able to incrementally add new capabilities because we have that server side piece. But we know we also need the client side piece. That's why we have the templating parts. Does that help? Yeah.
Yep.
Are there other questions?
Yeah. So basically, the user interface is code, right? If I need anything from the platform, I need to submit a PR.
If you need something from the platform, yeah, there are several levels. Like if you need something at the top service level, you modify your YAML definition. If you need something like from the operator, you do it in your Helm chart. If you need something like in your pipelines, you modify that. Like we have documentation pages for this, but like there are different levels. Like we found there's not like one solution to solve everything, especially because we have a lot of things from the past. We had different CI systems, different ways. So we're trying to we pick one of these 4 abstractions, and like choose, okay, where should the new capability go? Should it go in the service registry at the project level? Should it go like in Kubernetes at the operator? Should it go in CI? Like sometimes it could be in both, but we have to pick where we want to abstract it because certain abstractions have they're more complicated for us to implement, but then they show little to the user. Like, oh, it's just you get automatically. Or some are like, it's a template. Okay, you have to add these like 10 files to your repo and understand what they mean. So we have to decide as a team, where is that balance between what are we giving them and versus what are we have to maintain. Josh?
Yeah, I love this, these 4 things that really maps to a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, some of the stuff that's in portals and platform orchestrators. I just was wondering, standard pipelines and dynamic operators, are those just 2 different implementations of the same process to make something happen, or is there something, you know, conceptually deeper that I'm about the pipelines versus the operators?
No, I think there are just two different ways to automate things. So pipelines is our standard, what we know as CI. And because we have other teams that make their own CI pipelines and distribute it to teams, and then the operator is like we're saying like, okay, if you want to automate something on the server side, we have this operator pattern that you can use. You could put it as our operator, or maybe you're another platform team or a company and you want to make your own operator. So we want this to be like building blocks, basically. So like, oh, you need a template that you need to deliver to all services. Okay, here's how we do templates across all our services. So other teams can take these building blocks. And it's not because we're the main platform team, but we have smaller platform teams that are focused on machine learning and data platform that also have similar needs and also made other kinds of automations.
Yeah, this is awesome, Andre. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that the like combination of lots of different solutions probably resonates a lot. I think that whole like there's not one solution is something that I think has come up a lot in this group. And so the visualization of the 4 different ways in which you challenge it, I think, was why I was super excited for you to share your story and where you're at. Maybe we'll wrap up with one question to say, if you had one thing that you're like you're currently wrestling with, so like a problem that other people might be wrestling with as well, what would that be that you'd want to share?
I'd say what we're wrestling with is just more like, oh, what should I go with?
Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up on that question.
No, I'd say the thing that we struggled with a long time was like that operator piece of like, should we make our own operator? Should we write our own code to abstract away these processes? Or should we just like take a tool that's out there and then paper on some declarative YAML and expose that or patch it, right? Like a lot of this is like different tools. I'm sure every company has, but like, how do you glue all that together? And then do you write your own code? Because there's also a very strong buy versus build. Like if we write our own code, the person 5 years from now in my position has to wonder why I made this and why I did this. And they're going to have to maintain it or they'll like replace it, right? So it was really hard for us to decide, should we write our own code for this platform that is not our business is not writing platform code, right? At our company. It's like, why should we write this code? You know, how do we justify maintaining it over time? That I think that was the real struggle of like, rather than just taking off the shelf things and gluing it together with GitHub scripts, for example.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I think that does, at least for me, I hear that around a lot of the chats here. So I think this is just, again, for context for people, like I know we have some more veteran faces and some new faces. Like the reason that we really take the time to have people like Andre and others speak is to get that shared, like, oh, this is all the same problem. How can we collaborate as a group to come up with ways to support? So that's awesome. Marsh, I see you.
I do have a hand. I know you want to move us on, but
yeah,
but I think I may have
I
may have a question that can sneak by, because I think it was great to see the ways in which you've built the platform at Ada. You did say something along the way that caught my interest, and I'd love to hear more about, which is the maturity model and how you applied it and used it. I think that's slightly different than the demo that we saw. Where did it fall short? How was it useful to you? Are there ways in which you could see it improving?
I'd say we used it at the start to like sort of like come up to coalesce the idea of an IDP at our company, and like how would we present it? How would we think about it? How would we, because and that's where it helped us like sell the idea of a platform and figure out even what is a platform, what are the stages, what are the tools, like that's where it really helped. Over time, we haven't come back to it yet in like our planning cycles of like, okay, are we moving things forward in maturity? We didn't do that, but
I'm just curious to hear. Like, I have a bunch of follow-up questions, but I'll take them offline. I'd love to hear more if you don't mind in another channel somehow.
I feel like Marsh felt the laser eyes on timing. If we can come back to more of that chat by the end of the hour, we will for sure. And also like that is where I think there's a couple people who are asking me about, do we have more case studies on the maturity model? And I'm like, we need them. We need to figure out how to encourage them and how to collect them and how to publish them and all that. So I think that would be something maybe to point at. So cool, but I do want to make sure we touch on, like, given the synchronous nature, we try and touch on a bunch of stuff each time, and there is some exciting news on the first ongoing work things, which is the latest news. So Colin Griffin, who's here, has been nominated to join Josh, Robert, and I as a part of the co-leads for the working group. So Colin's been a part of the working group now for well over a year. A big, like, basically the right hand to me getting maturity model over the line, and has been a huge connector to other groups around the CNCF. So the cloud native maturity model was a huge connection for us, and others. So yeah, there's as you can see, there's a link for a GitHub where that's being kind of voted on by the tag chairs. But take a look, and you'll see more of Colin around. And we're trying so I guess the other important thing to say is that as leads, we're trying to figure out an intelligent way to do rotations. And this is sort of step one, is bringing in new faces and figuring out how to very kind of celebratorily respect emeritus leads as they move on and do different things and other things and stay a part of the community, but maybe not with as much responsibility. So hopefully we'll start to see a little bit more rotation in this. So if it's something that you're interested in, please make that known. And there's lots of opportunities, even if you're not technically a lead, and there will be lots of opportunity to become lead in the future. So yeah, Colin, do you want to say anything? I don't know, or anyone else?
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you all for trusting me with the nomination. I definitely, I know it takes a big time commitment in addition to what we're all already committing to get onto the calls, and I'm ready for that. It feels like it's kind of the end of a long road of contributing, but now I'm happy to be able to start to formalize and help the group and more officially devote the time to it. So I'm excited about it. And for anybody at KubeCon, I'll be there in Paris in a few weeks. Can't wait to catch up with y'all.
Look at that. He's already a pro. He's bringing me straight into the next topic. Yes, no, definitely, Colin. It's just the start of the road is the fun part. So is what I've learned since I joined last year. But yeah, so I will take that opportunity to rotate into KubeCon. So Paris is coming up. It's not too many weeks away now. There are a few things going on. So first of all, there will be platform coffees. This is going to be hosted in sort of a lean coffee format. So if you've ever been to Coffee Ops, which is a global meetup, or some other lean coffee, you get to bring your ideas with you to talk about, get voted on, and the most popular topics, spend some time chatting as a group on them. There's going to be sponsors from Gitpod, Crumware, and Cradix are all sponsoring the morning. So there'll be coffee and pastries for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. There are, you can see there's a blog with some other things, including some panels and some talks from tag reps throughout the day and throughout the week. And finally, there's a CFP. We are going to do lightning talks. We've been doing this now for 2 or 3 KubeCons. They are just an opportunity to get people around the booth. What we find is that they're short talks. They tend not to be as easy to share or to comprehend due to noise and crowd. But what they do is they get everybody next to the booth and having shared conversations. And so I found them really to be valuable. So if you're interested in sharing any of your stories, similar to the one you just shared, Andre, or others, but yeah, make a submission if you can, and hope to see you there. Anyone else who here on the call is going to Paris at this stage, is intending to be in Paris? A few people. Nice. Cool. Awesome. Any other things that you all are looking forward to or want to call out about Paris that you're you know of?
I think David and I reserved the spots at the booth to like be representing the working group. It's like an hour where it's just for the working group. I think we're going to do interviews during some of that. Wanted to talk a little bit about that though, David.
Yeah, and what the mechanics are for any setup, and is platform, how is platform day manage, or what's our involvement in that?
Cool. So it sounds like slightly two different conversations. So maybe first, the platform interviews, Brian. So I heard the two, the other one being the platform day. But if we wrap up the interview one, were you asking about how to get that organized?
Well,
David?
Yeah,
there's two
so
things
I
I
think
think. Oh, sorry, Brian, go ahead.
no, David, you're fine. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, yes, we have the interviews, but how is there booth set up? Is there like what are the mechanics around a booth? I haven't been on the setup side of a conference in a while, so I don't know if there's anything. I saw there was a setup hour, right, or a setup time slot. And as far as the interviews, like, do we know physically, like, how likely are we going to be able to do anything like that? And how do we conduct them? There was some talk at some point of having somewhere off to the side or whatever, like, but if it's just going to be really loud throughout, then what should we target? Should we have 5-minute screenings and sort of data collection, or should we plan on having real conversations? And part of that comes down to how many people will be there. Two of us signed up explicitly, but it'd be kind of difficult for us to run a popular topic like this with only 2 people if we're going to try and also do interviews.
Have opinions and experiences, but Brian, I didn't know you were trying to share some of your expectations there as well, or
And I had the same questions because like we've got an hour at the booth that's reserved for that we signed up for, and I know that we might be able to do some interviews, but I kind of had the same curiosity of like I'm not sure if we'll be able to at the noise level, or if we should just interact with people that come to the booth socially and gather their info to do interviews later. Another idea I had was we make a shorter version of the interview framework for KubeCon, and we get more through. So I just open to suggestions. Basically, I mean, maybe collecting names to schedule them later is the best approach, because of all the
yeah.
chaos of KubeCon.
So for context, the booths there that we're gonna be on is the project booths, and they are arm's distance away from each other or so.
Yeah, they're small.
And they are about the width of me after a big dinner. I don't know, like, they're kind of like 1 or 2 people sort of space, and then sort of if I turn around, I might hit the next booth kind of distances. So they do tend to be quite tight, which is why when we start talking about like lightning talks and things, it can get a little bit hard to get everyone hearing everything that's going on. But it is still just, it's on the floor, so it doesn't mean you can't go away from the booth and use like connections with people there to go do something else. The other challenge, just to like set expectations, is that they're not always easy to find, and like having set hours where that's the only thing you're doing in that hour tends to be hard to get people there, because KubeCon is just like being in a candy shop, and there is going to be someone with a plushie who takes your attention, and then all of a sudden the hour is passed and you didn't make it to the booth you meant to get to. So I think if we're trying to get something done purely in that hour, we may want to think about how to advertise at the booth all the time leading up to that hour as well, and possibly even collecting information, like drop a chip in this box if you want to vote for X or whatever, like kind of counter things. But yeah, so I think
So just to clarify, Tag App Delivery has space for a couple of people around like one of these little standing cocktail tables
exactly,
type
yep.
thing. Okay.
And
So
Tag App Delivery is just sort of advocating that we make sure that we have representation there as a working group for an hour, officially.
but we
for an
can be
hour.
there as much as we want. It's just
Correct.
space oriented,
Yep.
space constraint type
Yep.
thing.
And
Okay.
and I find myself magnetized back. Like I tend to go in kind of circles past it, and as I see noise around it, go see what people are chatting about and stuff. So I think
Okay.
you can definitely treat it like a home base a little bit, in the sense of conversations and friendly faces. But yeah.
Maybe we need a platform plushie then. I guess at the end, the winning strategy could just be that we do a survey on a QR code or something, and then we try to actively talk to people to get them to scan the QR code within the hour that we are there, and then that's also something we can just put on the booth, and if everybody's okay with that, have it there for the whole time. Then the the noise level doesn't matter too much. I guess it's something we can brainstorm a bit more about in an asynchron matter in the ticket, or should we set up a specific meeting for it? I think, David, you took over the lead for the KubeCon stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to get, I'll get together with Brian offline, and then we'll figure out how to structure it a bit more. It'd be nice to have signups, like if we could get some extra people committing to be there. If there's, if it's like spill out into the floor type thing, even though you've only got a tight elbow spot, hopefully the total space isn't constrained like that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a big open space. I think to your point, Dominic, on asynchronous versus synchronous, like I think Saeem, you're thinking about helping with the tag app delivery kind of flyer kind of thing. And I think that's the kind of thing, if we can get like a printout that has QR codes on it and things around the tag, and just leaving that with the booth, and encouraging the, there will be representatives here from this app, these set of hours to have a chat with, or else fill in this Google form to leave your information to chat later. And we just prioritize that hours about, just in my opinion, that hours about getting to know the humans that do wander by in that hour, more so than trying to like achieve something formal that we could try and do later. But just 'cause I think we might struggle. But again, we might get one or two people and end up in really in-depth conversations that are the perfect interviews. So I think it's my biggest piece of advice after experiencing this is it's hard to plan. So be ready to roll with it when we're there, in both ways.
So
Yeah.
Abby, I shared a doc with you. So basically I need because last year we have some messaging for the flyers and other activities. And we do know we have a platform engineering day. A bunch of folks from this group is also participating in there, and might be some of the folks delivering a KubeCon talk as well. I believe we can actually consolidate all the information in a flyer, in a one umbrella. If some people have talks, some people have panel talks, we shared with everyone. And if we have some links for people who want to set up interview with us, we can have one collaborative messaging for everyone to be used before and after before the event and during the event as well. So I share a doc with you, everyone. So let us know for your messaging for the flyers, and schedule what hour as a tag app delivery and the platform working group. What is our schedule in the KubeCon, where we are be presenting, and what
That's
are
a
the
great idea, Saeem. So there's the blog post that's in the note stock from today, is, and you can just go to the most recent blog post on our tag website, has everything that we know about to date. And as you say, though, like trying to make this be something that's useful both for where to go in person as well as things post KubeCon, like that can be good. I think the big thing is realizing, to Marcia's point, it's like not everyone's gonna be at KubeCon, so being able to get both the information in the hands of the people that are physically there, sorry friend, physically there to be able to attend stuff, but also making sure that if people are following along with the tag and with the working group, they have the opportunities to like read up on things and opportunities, and know what talks people are looking at when they get onto YouTube and all that. So awesome. Thank you for heading that up. I think that's, as I said, something that we can do like async through the GitHub issue as well as through the Slack channels and stuff. I know that's like going to have to go through some iterations, I'm sure. So I appreciate the getting started on that now, because we'll definitely need that. Michael, I lost your hand. Are you?
I
good?
didn't want to be late to the point. You were just concluding it.
Okay.
And I thank David and Brian for leading it on the day. I think whatever we do would be great just to have one of the clear goals of walking out of there with as many leads as possible for interviews. There's obviously all kinds of opportunities to do like a shortened interview there, or some way of maybe gathering something at the event that would turn into like an immediate blog post to kind of evangelize for the overall project, which would be amazing. But a pipeline of people we can talk to would be the true win.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
2 cents from my side to add to what you said and what Sam said. I think we also need to sync well on planning a pre-event messaging, so that before even we go there, everyone on social media, maybe LinkedIn, Twitter, they are aware of that. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at the booth. If you are into platform engineering, you need to be there and discuss it. And from there, we might take up few interviews and stuff. So I think that also needs to go out. That the booth is there and it's for you to be there and interact with folks from the community. So I think probably I can assist with Sam and we all can brainstorm a sync to create some messaging, because we have a couple of weeks in at hand right now, so we could utilize that time in sharing and spreading the message as much as we can, so we get max number of footfall at the booth.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was just suggesting in chat, if you want to think about publishing a blog post either on the Tag App Delivery blog, you could put it there first, and then we could even ask, we're getting close to time that they might not get it in time, but the CNCF blog to get more eyes on it. And then you can have a queue, something to think about.
Definitely. I think that's the type of thing that as we get that, just keeping in mind we have a blog that does sort of the like KubeCon like schedule, and then it's about what are we doing to try and get more visibility into that. And I know we've been asked by Leanne to try and push more people towards the Lightning Talk sign up as well. So anything that sort of gets eyes on the opportunities to engage with the group, I think both Lightning Talks and interviews and all those things would be well received. So awesome. Okay, then I think I still have in my head platform engineering day. It's on the list, don't worry. But in order to wrap up the platform as a product things, there is an open question around the interview script and where it should live. So there's a suggestion of having it in GitHub, so that there's can be PRs against that. What is needed to make that happen, or is that still an open conversation, open question?
I mean, I see the question there. So, I mean, a couple options that you all have is we could create a folder, say in the existing Tag App Delivery repo, where you put the script and you can create PRs against it. That there's a little bit of friction there because you have to get approvals from people more perhaps than you might want. So you could potentially, if you feel like you have enough content, we could get you a repo like the Artifacts Working Group has in CNCF tags, and then we could give you more control over that, and you could govern what goes in and out.
Yeah, I know Dominic had asked this originally. We talked about it a little. That would be great. I don't want to jump the gun and think too far ahead. And I know that Abby introduced us to another initiative around the role of more research-driven things in CNCF, which is great. It would maybe make sense to have a repo that's focused on all those kind of user projects where we could like user research projects where we could keep the scripts and the interview guides and the protocols, and we know that there's one repo for all that work that we can link to, that would then support whatever white papers or whatever blog post or whatever else comes out of that.
I think I owed you another intro. I think I chased him, but I can't remember now. Alois was gonna help me out with getting in charge. So Alois is one of the tag leads, chairs, and he was gonna help us get involved, get the right people at like kind of the broader CNCF group to talk about tooling, which is another topic for today if we can get to it. And I think one of them is around, it's basically about like how are other people doing things, and I think in other groups, it's like in other tags and things like that. So yes, worth grabbing him at some point as well. So because it was discussed at the last tag meeting.
Yeah, it seems like we're not the only ones kind of thinking about the same things. The tools, aren't going to vary widely in the nature of the work. It'd be great if we can like standardize around them and actually get access to some.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, for me, it was a good point that we can't, like that we need some more checks on it, and it can't change everything just so easily, because then we can say, all right, the script is now in version 1, like it's now released and ready for people to use it, and then we go to version 1.1 if we see a need for it, and can have a new iteration on it. But just to officiate that now here's the final iteration or final initial iteration of the script. I don't have the feeling that we will get such a artifact, like a final form of it, if we stick to the Google Doc like now.
So, okay, so we'll figure out then if it's going to go in the platform. So, Josh, it sounds like you're someone who can help with figuring out if it goes into a separate tag repo or into the like platforms working group within the.
I'm kind of feeling like if we want to get something quickly that's, relatively static, then getting something into the tag repo might be the easiest. Just create a folder structure and put it in there. And then for the longer term, we can define we have to make a request into Talk to create the full repo, and we can pursue that at the same time.
And we can possibly pursue GitHub owners. I can work with you, Josh. I'll about like how can we get it relatively static but also changeable for people after the first PR. So cool.
That's
just
great.
because while we're talking about kind of standard tooling, I do want to call attention. Another one of the topics here was the automation for the tag app delivery repo. So that's a link to something in Slack where we've had two different topics come up. So one is automation around translations and possibly using a third-party tool for that. And the other one is automations around just like managing issues and pull requests and things, and automations of making sure that things get reviewed and just kind of process flow there. And I think that did come up at so that's the problem space. I raised it at the tag meeting because this is a little bit bigger than the working group, or at least it can be if we can get leadership from other groups. And the tag reiterated that kind of GitHub Actions is sort of our de facto way of automating things, and that which enables us to, while it's not open source, it has been basically committed to by the CNCF as like the home of our repos, and it's a well documented tool and applicable across repositories. The skills to know how to read them is something that read and write them is something that a wider range of participants might have. So I think I just wanted to like relay that back from the tag. But what else? Does anyone else have any other questions or ideas around automation for like management of PRs and issues and things like that for us?
Yeah, it might help if we just come up with a standard set of like, what are the pain points, and then document those as issues. And those are really good first PRs for people, right? It's like write a GitHub action for X or Y, right? And that's a good way to get contributors involved too.
Absolutely. We started trying to put in new GitHub issue templates. That's a new action, and I'm sure they can use some help. And we actually have a GitHub action being worked on right now to alert people to the need to do translations. So actually, I realized I think we only put the blog in English. I was just thinking to myself, oh, we probably need to move that over to the other languages. So basically, the idea that if you make a change in a website directory, that it prompts you for, did you know there's these other languages? Here's where the change would be. Not, it'll be dumb probably in the sense it'll be simple of just like, hey, did you know? Giving humans the chance to ask the questions and solve the problems, and then maybe one day there's a way to automate that. But just awareness is what we're looking for right now, and I think that'll be great. So really good point on the first issues, Brian. And
So then maybe I'll just open up an issue that's stating like, let's collect all the different action needs, and then we can break those out into separate issues.
Yeah, possibly
just highlight your
something,
comment.
maybe add that under tag. We can add the label to tag discuss, because I think that'd be a good conversation at the tag level, because there's probably ideas across all the working groups that people are feeling pain from. So
yeah,
really good. Nice. Any other? So those are examples of, sorry, go on, Josh.
I was just gonna say, anything that you want like tag with tag discuss or something, then you can't do it. Just CC one of us in, and we'll make sure it gets tagged.
Yeah, I'll link it in Zoom here in a second. You can tag it. There you go.
Awesome. So those are two examples of, or three examples of like shared tooling that we have asks for. I don't know if anyone else has anything else, kind of shared tooling or common tooling that they're curious about. Yeah. I'm going to get around to spiking out Crowden, I swear. The question is how locked in that gets us to a third party for our code. But that is we got cleared for an open source license, so it's not a cost thing now. Now it's a like reliability and maintainability question that we need to understand. So we are making progress. It's just a little bit slower than I wanted to. I'm sorry, Antoine. Ooh. All right, so the next one down the list, if there's no other kind of questions around those, is Platform Engineering Day. So David, I cut you off a little bit on this question, and I want to make sure I get back to what you were actually asking. Did I lose you? Are you not on this anymore? There you are.
No, I'm here.
David, you were asking just what I guess our relation to that is, or what were you asking?
Well, yeah,
about
and
in
what
regards
is there anything for us to do?
Hmm.
I love helping things run smoothly, but you know, there hasn't apparently been any ask other than the fact that there's a platform themed day. Is it run as part of the standard conference, you know, workings, and you know, we're not needed for it? Or I would plan to attend, right? But is there anything we can be doing for it?
So I have a bit of context on that. So Paula Kennedy and Stacy, blanking on her last name, from formerly Dynatrace, from basically put forward the idea. So this is for co-located events. It's basically anyone can apply with ideas, and then the CNCF selects them. And I'll get you the last name if we're taking notes, because poor Stacy's put in a lot of work as well. So,
Potter.
the Potter, that's it. Thank you. So yeah, so when the idea was selected, it was sort of then made official by CNCF. So in the sense that everything was then organized by them. Selection of who was going to be reviewing papers was done by CNCF. The selection of the schedule was done by the CNCF. It was then approved by Stacy and Paula as the chairs, but the CNCF actually took the reviewer reviews and then generated a schedule for them to then approve. And then all of the running of it, like finding the venue, the food, all the things, is all being done by the CNCF as well. So even the people who sort of identified it as a possible helpful topic or useful and exciting topic for people, there's been very little prep from their end to make the day run. So that's probably why you
Okay.
haven't seen as many asks as normally in an event like that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Then that means we should just show up and help with conversations and things like that.
I think also, in my opinion, take advantage of it. So when you say like help with conversations and things, like all that chat about how do we find people to interview and generate a pipeline,
yep.
like I would 100% advocate wearing the fact that you're a part of this group, you know, on your chest that day, being very open and welcoming to people about it. I think
Is there a t-shirt design we can get printed up?
we have a little dog for tag app delivery. I don't know. Josh, what's our working group?
There is a little bunny in a kangaroo, or no, it's a kangaroo in a pouch. I'll find
Tag
that
is
one.
yeah, kangaroo. I have stickers, which doesn't
If
help you
somebody
because I'm
wants
not
to-
going to Paris. So,
But there's always open. I'll paste it. I'm gonna go find it now. The artwork. If somebody wants to create artwork for us, go for it.
and all the CNCF artwork is open source. So if you want to create stickers, just go fetch the logo, and that's what I did. That's why I have a bunch of them.
Yeah.
For this
So
one and
whether
the
we
next
can
1,000 laptops.
whether we can physically have it on our chests or just in you know, excitement levels be showcasing that we're a part of the group. I think for everyone who's been around for at least the last like 6 months, you'll know that we always get an influx of awesome new joiners after each KubeCon as we get conversations with people, and this should be no different. And it is definitely the best place for us to find like-minded people who can help us with our projects and want to contribute and join. So definitely. Cool. Any other questions
Yeah,
about platform
surviving
engineering?
Paris. That'd be good. Sorry, Abby.
No, don't say sorry at all. Something about how to order steak at the right temperature is definitely needs to be a part of that. For those meat eaters. Yeah, any other questions about Platform Engineering Day before we move on?
Just a one question, Abby. What is your favorite talk and you are actually looking forward to attending?
What is my favorite talk? I think the one that I'm the most interested by is there's going to be a talk that's why Kubernetes isn't built for building platforms, but what you can do about it. I think is going to be one. I think some of the team from Crossplane are doing that, and some other people. I think it's a mixed talk. So I think that one's one I'm super excited to hear about. But trick question. There's so many.
Maybe something for next the next agenda is we've been getting presentations by different vendors and things like it's not clear maybe what we could be doing more actively with all the people who've been presenting about schemas and proposals for application description and things like that.
So you mean like what is the next step after those
Next
conversations?
step or it was I think some of that could come up at QCon easily, right? There'll be a lot of these groups in the same place.
Birds of a feather style.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Group conversations. Find KubeCon. My experience with KubeCon is that that's always my dream, and then the reality is I'm just like I snap my
Everyone's
fingers, I
split
wake
in
up,
10
and the
different
week is gone.
directions. Yeah. Yeah.
So trying to get everyone, all those cats in the same place is hard during a good week, let alone during a KubeCon week. It's but I think it's a good point and
we're
prepping
all in
for
the
it.
same place, but even if we have like maybe we have consistent discussions with a bunch of them about, okay, you came in and presented, like what are we doing with that? Are we just connecting you with other groups or?
I'm super optimistic to learn from this coffee mornings experience. We kind of trialed it. Lou really pushed that at Chicago, and it was a small but passionate group of people every day when it was only supposed to be like once. And I'm excited to see what happens here in Paris and possibly making that sort of the birds of a feather opportunity for people to come in and like, hey, we'll do a theme maybe next time, right? So we can build on that. To your point, David, like we can learn from the experiences and for Salt Lake City and stuff.
Lean coffees are awesome.
Yeah, and we gained a few people when I saw on the other Slack, on the platform engineering Slack, they asked us on the French channel, where can we meet people about platform engineering? I told them, we have a coffee, we have some place, so we have 2 new people that just registered. So I believe we are going to be 20 on Tuesday.
Nice.
We have 14 already registered, so I think in 2 weeks I will book for 20 to reserve the coffee and the croissant.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work for that. I feel like you definitely deserve a lot of credit for making that actually happen, which is really awesome. Really appreciate it. So awesome. So I'm sorry to the whole call. I was doing a little bit of a speed run through some of those things today because I feel like we had quite the packed agenda, but I think we've touched on mostly everything we wanted to. I'll call out that we haven't touched on the things that are marked for discussion. I did my own gut review of those, that those are not brand new. So those are interesting threads. If you haven't seen them, I gave a screenshot to give like a sense of where they are. And if you're interested, a lot of those are for discussion that are happening in the threads there as well. But things you want to chat about here, I think we may want to try and leverage those discussions more rather than just straight into the Google Doc. That way they allow for async chat as well as, synchronous on these calls. And the last thing is that there is the working group charter. I think there's been conversations about, whether or not that needs revisiting. Is that the reason that's on here? Yeah. So I didn't think, looking at the time, I didn't think we had time to allocate to that proper conversation, but I'm going to put that top of the list for the next meeting. And I think there's conversations of like how much that charter reflects what our current work is. Like, we've learned over the last 2 years where the community is asking us to support and So we may be able to revisit that, make that something that fits what we're doing and helps actually drive our everyday. Because I don't know about you, but I don't look at that very much. So yeah, I think that does us for the day. Any final parting words from anyone before we see you all in a couple weeks?
Thanks, Abby, for moderating this meeting again. Great job.
Yeah, no stress. Sorry for the cat herding. Awesome. Well then, yeah. Don't be strangers on Slack. We'll see you in there. And keep these chats going. And KubeCon is just around the corner. So if there's any activities pre-Paris, please do start poking in the Slack. We'll get some actions taken and be ready to go for it. So we'll see you at the next call. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Abby.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.